Welcome back, Shalloners. Well, today we're going to tackle a topic you guys have been wanting to know about for so long: Cara Delevingne and Ashley Benson's breakup, and Ashley's rebound with G-Eazy. And I'm going to tell you some behind the scenes stuff, some things about their personalities you guys might not know, and more important, what we can get out of this, right? Because, like, who cares who any of these three people are sleeping with? Not really me. They can put their genitals wherever they want. Enjoy yourselves. But I want to know, and I want you guys to know, how to have a healthy fling after a long-term relationship, because what I think is going on is not ultra healthy, and I think it's going to end in doom. And we're going to talk about this more in tomorrow's video about Megan Fox and her fling with Machine Gun Kelly. Ugh, women, we love those tall, skinny, pointy-faced white rappers. Yeah, we do. We love them. It's because they have really big penises. Anyway, before we get started, just want to remind you guys, if you have a love question or a family question or a friendship question of your own and want to connect with me one-on-one, find me on my website, shallonlester.com, and click Get Help. Also, follow me on Instagram at shallonxo. You guys came up with this video topic. It's incredible. You always come up with the best topics. I love it. And if you would like to book a video shout out with me, find me on Cameo at shallonxo. So Cara and Ashley, we did not see this breakup coming, right? Like, the last I sort of heard about them was they were posting about one of their birthdays. It was like, schmoopy, chaunches, just this like mushy Instagram post. And I was like, oh, they seem not only like they were lovers, but friends. And that sounds obvious. Like, well, they were in a relationship. You'd be surprised how many people are only one or the other with the people that they're dating. It's like, we have like that sexual chemistry, but we don't have the emotional intimacy of best friends, or that's all we have and the spark's kind of gone. But they really seem to have both of those things. My brain, I'm sorry. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy that they broke up, because they were together for 2 years. And I feel like 2 years is sort of like a good amount of time. Like, why break up now? I don't know. I was just really surprised. And I was even more surprised when she took it with G-Eazy like weeks later. So here's some things going on in the background. Cara, I run in the New York media circles, and I know a lot of models and interact with these people and a lot of publicists and everything. And one thing I've always heard about Cara is that she likes to flip straight girls. That she loves to like get a straight girl in love with her, or even a bisexual girl who's just been mostly dating men. Like me, like I'm a party lesbian. I always say, like, I like to hook up with girls, it's fun, but I like date boys. That's just my preference. But Cara really likes the challenge of flipping straight girls. And we've kind of done a video touching on that pathology when we did a video on Miranda Lambert. This was like last year. But Miranda Lambert chronically dates married men. She will not date someone who isn't married or has a girlfriend. Her husband, who she married now, not only did he have a girlfriend, he had a pregnant ex. So like, that was already this creepy love triangle, and she inserted herself into it, and it became a creepy love rhombus. Girl. And I said about Miranda, like, there's only two kinds of people who chronically date someone who's married, and in Cara's case, someone who's outwardly not interested in buying what they're selling. People who are kind of psychotic, and it's about the power, like they're like weird like that, or people with really, really, really low self-esteem. Miranda Lambert and Cara Delevingne do not strike me as people with low self-esteem. To me, it feels like it's about the power. I don't just want a guy. Like, I have a hole inside myself. Maybe they do have low self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. I have a hole inside myself, and just getting a guy, that doesn't really fill it up. But taking someone, that is more of a movement. Just going out and falling in love, boop, boop. But taking someone, ruining their lives, ruining their relationship with their children, whoa, it's crazy. And I wonder if Cara feels like that about dating straight girls, because I know a lot of my gay guy friends like to flip straight dudes. And I'm always like, walk me through this process, because now I'm afraid that every guy I date is not only susceptible to women, now I feel like he's susceptible to you too. Like, I can't bring anyone anywhere. And they're like, oh, you just get them really drunk or coked up, and you just start suggesting things, and you just kind of go for it. I was like, but why? Like, you're not going to find a meaningful relationship with a closeted, investment banker who works on Wall Street. Like, that you're not. Like, aren't you dating to find love? And he's like, no, I'm dating for the challenge. And I was like, okay. It just seems like It seems like a big goddamn headache. But clearly Cara and Ashley did fall in love, you know, so all's well that ends well, whatever. But yeah, we also did not see her taking up with G-Eazy. Now those two recorded a song, a cover of Radiohead's Creep. Big why on that, why? That song does not need to be covered or re-recorded ever. It is a masterpiece. And it was very left field. It's like, you guys are collaborating. I almost wonder if he like had a thing for her and like kind of picked her out like, oh, I want to collaborate with you because I want to like actually hook up with you. It is like the unspoken rule of Hollywood that when you collab with someone, you fuck. Like you just do. It's showmances. That's what they're called, showmances. And like on-set romances, and you just spend so much time with someone and you're like vibing in this synergistic creative way, and it's very, very attractive. And also G-Eazy in general is very, very attractive. He does a lot of drugs. He's got to stop. Do you remember the I have to put my hair up, the video or the photos of him and Halsey on that yacht doing coke? Yeah, I mean, who knows, maybe she wasn't, but she was bent over something with her nose. And people were like, oh my God, be careful, Ashley. And I was like, I know, like, why would you do coke on a yacht? Could blow away. Hello? It's very windy on the sea. And even if it's not windy, it's damp. You're going to turn it into a paste. What are you thinking? Is this your first cocaine rodeo? Do I have to do everything around here? Do I have to teach people everything? I might. So G-Eazy and Ashley have been seen together. They've been getting food in LA and kissing and being in a car together. So obviously a lot of smashing. And I was reading some, I was like reading on Us Weekly about this in Hollywood Life because I'm like, I want to see what the sources are saying. Because a lot of times, I've told you guys this is the back end of Hollywood that you don't hear about. Sources are the person's publicist, or they are the celebrity themselves. I have had many phone calls with the actual celebrity that it's like, oh, sources say so-and-so is doing just fine after their split. Okay. So what the vibe is out there is Ashley and G-Eazy are completely on the same page. She's not catching feelings. They're just having fun. Ashley, are you behind that? Look, it's not G-Eazy's people who are snitching. They're not, he doesn't run in that sort of gossip sphere. I don't think his people care enough to call up Hollywood Life. They don't even have the contacts to do that, right? Like, how would I go about finding Hollywood Life? Ashley Benson is very much in that circle. She's very much in that circle. So it's logical that she's the one behind these actual sources, right? And that tells me that she is really, really, really trying to sell this idea that she's not catching feelings for G-Eazy. Why is she doing that? Because she is catching feelings for G-Eazy. What's the number one thing we want a guy to think when we like them? I don't like him. No, I can take it or leave it. I'm just so neutral. I'm so breezy. I'm casual. I'm so casual. The lady doth protest too much. If she was really whatever-ish about it, there would be no sourcing in general for this. That's kind of how these things go. And this is what we're going to talk about in this video. And this is why this is relevant to us. Because again, like, who cares who these people sleep with? It's because when we get out of serious relationships, we are very, very, very susceptible to the feelings catching. I've heard that Cara dumped Ashley, that basically she's kind of started horn dogging around with the Qualley sisters. Margaret Qualley, Andy McDowell's daughters. Margaret was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I almost said Los Angeles. But Cara has been out with those girls at their family's Montana ranch kind of during quarantine, and she likes straight girls, right? And after Margaret dated Pete Davidson, who probably wasn't a handful for her, right? That would seem like a very unhealthy relationship, as all of his relationships usually are. Cara comes in, hey girl, I can treat you better. Or maybe there's nothing weirdly romantic. She's just spending a lot of her time around people who aren't her girlfriend. She's just kind of over it. So the fact that that Ashley is the one bouncing to a new relationship tells me that she still has the most feelings left, because she's trying to do what I always call the relationship equivalency exam. When we get out of a long-term relationship, the idea of starting completely over, oh, where are you from? Yeah, what does your dad do? It's like, I don't want to get to know someone from scratch. I don't want that. I want what I had. I want like the love, and you know me and we know each other. And so we tend to inappropriately imprint on the next person we date and falsely create that closeness because we're craving it, especially if we got dumped. It's like, wait a minute, I just went from loved to unloved, partnered and supported to a kite in a hurricane, please love me. And young Gerald is charming. Fuck. That boy. He's so polite. I love manners. Like, oh, good manners are just, they're like my own personal Viagra. Like if you know to use the cutlery from the outside in, oh, the panty's coming off right there at the table. Love it. So I think he has been extremely charming to her. Like I said, they connected in that synergistic creative way when they did the song. You kind of don't need a lot more than that to catch a lot of feelings when you're in a really, really vulnerable place. And it's hard. We talk about this all the time, the emotional work of working on ourselves. And more often than not, that has to be done by ourselves, not in a relationship, not out at a party. You know, we have to get time alone to really process something, whether it's, I mean, look at processing grief. Like if someone dies, you know that going out a ton and drinking a bunch and surrounding yourself with people all the time, if you see someone doing that after they've had like a loss, you're like, they're not processing this. This is not good. Like they're not feeling what they need to feel. It's the same thing after a breakup. You keep yourself super busy, you're not going to process. You're going to imprint on that next person, and then you know what you have. You have a hurt locker. If you're new to this channel, you haven't heard me talk about this before. Hurt locker is the name that I give to people in which we store our hurts. They're people who we imprint upon at a time in our life where we are very vulnerable, at a low point, or craving a leveling up. Because sometimes we imprint upon a hurt locker, not because we love them, but because we admire them. That happens a lot. Like all my hurt lockers were exactly the same kind of boy. High achieving. 2 were professional athletes, like humble, hardworking. Like I wanted all of those things for myself, you know? And it was hard for me to get over them. But sometimes a hurt locker is an emotional getaway car. And we just latch onto them with both hands. Please get me out of here. Get me out of this feeling. Get me out of loneliness. Get me out of suffering. And this is what I've learned, is when things go south with the rebound, the pain, it's like an avalanche of pain. Why? Because after my last breakup, I had a rebound. And like looking back, I can be like, he was fine. It's fine. Like you guys never heard about him or anything, but because he was like just kind of fine. But when like he ended up moving and we didn't really obviously see each other anymore, I was like weirdly devastated. And I realized it's because I was hoping he was a getaway car that was going to help me outrun the avalanche of feelings I had about my breakup. That if, oh my God, it worked out with the next person, like the very next person that I dated, then it's like I got away with something. It's like I outran this pain. Oh my God, see? All that the breakup that I went through, that was meant to be. So what I had viewed as really painful and really difficult was actually, that wasn't a setback. That was a setup because look, I met this hot new dude and blah, 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 and everything's perfect and it worked out just perfectly. And I never had to deal with that breakup. I just paved right over it. Wallpapering. Wallpapering is another thing we talk about here. I don't know if you've ever tried to do anything with wallpaper. I sure as hell haven't because it's terrifying. But the reason people hate wallpaper is because you cannot get it off. It takes forever. You have to scrape. Because if you put new wallpaper right over the old one, it's lumpy, it's bumpy. It doesn't look good because you're not doing it the right way. To do it the right way is very labor intensive, and our emotions are the same way. We can't let something into our lives until we have really expelled the old. And to a degree, we could put ourselves on a cliff in Tibet and just think about our breakups and at some point you do have to get back out there, and life is for the living, and you shouldn't keep yourself in this like sequestered state while you're like going through all your emotions all the time. Go out and see your friends, have a good time, whatever. But don't get into these new relationships. Project everything you want to happen. Forecast I bet Ashley thinks that Gerald is everything Cara wasn't. I mean, we're not talking about the gender thing, but like, that's obvious. But like maybe Cara was not very polite, and maybe Gerald is. Maybe Cara was not ultra creative and musical, and Gerald is. So we always tend to go for the rebound who is so different from that person. And usually the person who we rebound with, we're looking at specific qualities that were what the other person failed at. You know, so if you dated like a cheater, you're going to orient to someone who seems very wholesome, very good, a nice, good church boy, you know? Or if you dated someone really boring, you're going to go for the super exciting person. And maybe it's not so much that the person was boring, maybe the relationship just got boring, you know? Maybe Cara and Ashley were together for 2 years and it was just like, it just kind of like ran out of gas. You know, that happens. And maybe Gerald's like exciting and maybe the fuckboy push and pull is like, it's so stimulating. But again, when and if this goes belly up, and it will, because he cannot keep it in his pants. Like we all know what happened with Halsey. He cheated on her. It was like a Dr. Seuss novel. I cheated on the road. I cheated with a toad. I cheated in New York. I cheated eating pork. Like it was just every which way you turn, he was sticking it into someone new. And that probably hasn't changed because his lifestyle hasn't changed. And a man is usually only as faithful as his options, which is why rappers and basketball players, well, most all professional athletes, are not known to be the most faithful people out there. No. So when this goes bad, I think Ashley is going to feel not only the humiliation of being played by him, not that she should feel humiliated, but that's how we all feel, you know? Like there's nothing to feel humiliated about when you like somebody. It's your emotions. You just like them. And okay. And telling yourself you should feel humiliated makes it so much worse, right? Then it's like, oh, I'm upset, but I feel stupid for feeling upset. Okay, great. And it just keeps you stuck in that spiral and the grief for longer. But she's probably going to feel that way. It's a natural way. And then she might also feel that way about Cara. Like she's going to feel that avalanche of feelings. And so if we are getting out of a long-term relationship, as tempting as it might be to get back out there, because your friends always say, we are going out. You are going to brunch. You are going to find someone to make out with. And that's okay. But like, I don't know, whenever I've done that, and I feel like you guys have experienced this too, I've ended up like crying in the Uber home. You know, like, okay, I'll go out to brunch, I'll get drunk, I'll make out with the cute dude or whatever. And all it does is remind you how single you are and how that relationship you had is not here anymore. Sometimes it can do way more harm than good. And the only way you can predict that outcome is by really knowing yourself and being honest with yourself, because there's no wrong answer. And sometimes you come out of a long-term relationship ready to hit it. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow with Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, because I think where Ashley is going to run into some trouble, Megan has done this almost right. Like, we'll talk about that. But you have to be authentic about how you're feeling. If you are devastated, that's okay. That's okay. Feel it, process it. Grief is like any kind of grief. It's like a wave, you know? I don't know how much experience you have with the ocean. I grew up in SoCal, so I know about waves a lot. And if you stand there, if you see a big wave and you're like, ugh, and I'm just gonna like gird myself against it, it's not gonna hit me, I don't care. Boom, you get your ass handed to you by the ocean. But if you recognize a wave is coming and you lean into it and you duck dive and you use the motion of that, you get past it. And it's hard and it sucks because we don't want to feel our feelings. Our brain's primary purpose is to avoid pain. Primary purpose. That's why we have denial. That's why we have things like multiple personality disorder, where someone experienced something so traumatic, they split into multiple people in order to store it other places. It's crazy, right? Because our brain wants to keep us alive. And if we're in pain, if we're on the couch crying, we're not mating, hunting for food, keeping ourselves warm. Like it's a very reptilian sort of like user system. And it works. So we don't want to feel that pain. We don't want to lean into the wave. We want to stand there and say, it's not going to hurt me. I feel nothing. Or we want to hightail it out of there. We want to run. But as we get older, part of being mature is not just doing things I'm doing the hard thing. It's doing the hard thing because you know it's going to lead to the good thing. You know that growth, which is painful, we say it all the time, is breaking you open for lessons, for wisdom, for a leveling up. And when we talked about the Hurt Locker, Notice I said you imprint on someone because you want to level up. They have something you want. They're a getaway car from something. You want to get out of how you feel and into a place where things feel better. What if you could do that without a guy? What if you could do that without G-Eazy and his adorable face? Oh, I just love him. I know he's problematic. They all are. They're all, I know. Just let me have my trash crushes, okay? Just let me have this. But what if we could get that growth in a way that's not adding extra pain, not self-destructive, not a secondary avalanche of emotion? What if we could just do the work? That doesn't sound like fun. No, I know, girl, I know. It sounds like more fun to go to brunch, get wasted, and make out with some bankers, right? And it is fun. It's fun for a little while. It's fun the way doing drugs are fun. I'm actually gonna do a video on drugs. I've been thinking about drugs. Not like to do them, but just the effect drugs have on us. But boys are drugs too. Distraction is a drug. And what are drugs? They're fun for a little while, and then do you hit a wall, right? And then you realize, great. Not only am I still wounded about the thing I was trying to distract myself from, now I've got this secondary problem on top of it that I have to fix. Cool. So while Ashley might be grieving Cara, I don't want her to add the secondary drug of G-Eazy on top of it, because then she's gonna have two things to deal with. And I don't want you guys to do that in a Rebound as well. So while we're in quarantine, if you're dealing with the breakup, girl, deal with it. You know, I've tried to do like as many emotional autopsies as I could during this whole quarantine. And autopsies, I talk a lot about autopsies because I like the analogy, because an actual autopsy on a body is disgusting and it's terrifying. And if I had to actually witness one, I would pass out or throw up or both at the same time. But you do autopsies on people to figure out what happened so that you can be smarter in the future. Oh, okay, you drink this, that kills you. So we're not gonna drink this. This is now new evidence that we've introduced. And when we do autopsies on our own histories and our own relationships, yes, it's gross. Yes, it's embarrassing. Yes, it's horrifying. Yes, it's painful. You're reliving, you're opening a wound, but you're doing it to learn. You're doing it in service of saving yourself future emotional mortality. So try that. Go back, think about what it is you've been running from. And then when all this is over and we can get out there and get laid, it won't be a rebound. It will be purposeful and chosen. And again, tomorrow we're gonna talk about Megan Fox and why I think she is doing this right and why I think she is gonna come out of her situation with, you know, not even the smell of smoke, but Ashley is gonna get kind of consumed by this fire, or at least I worry. Hopefully not. Maybe there's gonna be a double wedding, a double white wrapper wedding. Sounds fantastic. I wanna know what you guys have to say about Cara and Ashley's breakup. Who do you think broke up with who? Do you think it was a matter of just, hey, things ran its course? Do you think someone cheated? Maybe Ashley cheated with G-Eazy. Maybe Cara saw how close they were getting and she's like, oh, that's cute. I'm gonna go out with the Qualies to Montana. Fun. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think they're gonna get back together. I can actually see them getting back together, but you know what else I can see? I can see Cara dating Halsey. Halsey's bi, right? I feel like that's very on brand. She is, right? It's very on brand. But can you not see those two like pairing up almost out of spite, but then actually falling in love with each other? Oh, I'm so here for it. For more, click like and subscribe. We're doing a ton of videos in quarantine. And like I said, if you have a love question, want to connect with me, find me on my website, shallonlester.com.